Imagine someone walks up to you and just hands you the keys to a priceless, one-of-a-kind vintage Ferrari.
Oh, man. I'd be terrified.
Right. I mean, at first you're thrilled. It's this beautiful, perfectly engineered machine, and it's entirely yours. But the second you take the keys, this person leans in and whispers in your ear that if this car gets like a single scratch on it,
Yeah.
or if the engine isn't maintained to absolute perfection, you are personally and solely liable for the destruction of a masterpiece.
It's just the ultimate psychological bait and switch.
Exactly.
You receive this incredible gift, but the joy of the gift evaporates instantly. It's replaced entirely by the terror of the responsibility.
Which makes today's deep dive highly unusual for us. Because usually we tackle, a stack of research papers, a massive database, or a 300-page book.
We definitely like our volume here.
We do.
Yeah.
There's a comfort in volume. You feel like if you just wade through enough data, you'll eventually find the answer. But today, our source material is an excerpt consisting of exactly 8 words.
Yep. Just 8 words.
The title is The Mandate of Potential, and the text reads in full, "You have potential. Don't waste it."
And that's it.
That is it. So, okay, let's unpack this. How do we extract a masterclass in personal philosophy from what essentially sounds like a bumper sticker?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the brevity is the point.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. By stripping away all the fluff, the supporting anecdotes, the step-by-step instructional guides that usually accompany self-improvement literature, this text functions as a fascinating psychological puzzle.
Huh.
It leaves the reader with absolutely nowhere to hide. It's a pure, concentrated distillation of personal accountability.
Okay, let's start, before we even reach those 8 words, let's look at the title, The Mandate of Potential. Because when I first read that, it caused an immediate friction in my mind.
How so?
Well, when I hear the word potential, I usually think of soft, airy high school graduation speeches.
Isn't that right? Oh, places you'll go.
Exactly. It's sunshine and caps and gowns. It's a very forgiving, positive concept of what you could be, if the stars align. But a mandate sounds like a legal summons or like a royal decree. It's heavy.
It really is. It's not a suggestion, it's an order.
Yeah.
And then it's changed to the word potential. Let's look at the Greek philosophical concept of teleology for a second.
Oh, okay. Lay it on me.
So teleology is the idea that things have an inherent purpose or an end goal. For example, the teleology of an acorn is to become an oak tree.
Okay, I track with that.
It isn't a suggestion for the acorn, it is its fundamental design. A mandate is rigid. It is immediate. It demands present tense compliance. By pairing mandate with potential, the source material immediately redefines that core concept.
But, I mean, an acorn doesn't have anxiety about becoming an oak tree. We do.
Yes. Yes, we very much do.
Because if I have potential, I usually view it as a nice-to-have trait, like having a good singing voice or fast metabolism. It's a bonus feature. A mandate implies an external authority dictating that I absolutely must use it.
And that friction is entirely intentional. It takes potential from being a passive lucky trait and transforms it into an active, pressing obligation.
Wow.
It's saying that your capacity to do good, to create, to lead, to build, it's an assignment. And it introduces an element of existential weight right out of the gate.
Which brings us to the first line of the text itself.
Yeah.
You have potential. 3 words. What struck me is just how invasive it feels.
Invasive is a great word for it.
It doesn't say, highly driven people have potential or some of you listening to this have potential. It points a finger directly through the page, straight at you.
Yeah.
It feels almost uncomfortably intimate, like being invisible in a pitch-black room and suddenly a spotlight snaps on, pointed right at your face.
If we look at the mechanics of human psychology, what this 3-word sentence is attempting to do is bypass a massive defense mechanism, imposter syndrome.
Oh, interesting.
Imposter syndrome thrives on the idea of negative exceptionalism.
Negative exceptionalism, what does that mean?
And it's the voice that says, other people have gifts, but I am the exception. I'm just faking it. I don't belong here.
Oh, man. I know that voice very well.
We all do.
Yeah.
But this text doesn't argue with that voice. It overrides it, stating your value as an absolute baseline of fact. You have potential. Boom.
I struggle to see how 3 words dismantle a lifetime of imposter syndrome, though. Isn't that a bit overly optimistic?
Well,
I mean, anyone can write "you have potential" on a piece of paper. It can easily feel like empty validation, like an Instagram quote graphic.
that is a completely fair critique. But consider the concept of cognitive dissonance. When you choose to engage with a text titled The Mandate of Potential, you are subconsciously entering into an agreement with the author.
Okay, I'm listening.
If you reject the premise that you have potential, there is no reason to read further. By moving to the next sentence, your brain must temporarily accept the premise to make sense of the incoming information.
Wait, really? So just by reading the next line, I'm agreeing with the first.
Exactly. The text forces a rhetorical compliance. Before the author can deliver the warning, they first force you to accept your own inherent value.
That is kind of brilliant. They're placing a massive weight of worth squarely onto your shoulders just so they can pull the lever on the trapdoor.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Which leads us to the sudden drop. We go from, you have potential, which feels really validating and warm, straight into the second line. Don't waste it. The whiplash there is intense.
It really is.
This is where that vintage Ferrari liability kicks in. It's a gift, paired instantly with a massive liability.
Let's dissect that concept of waste. Because to waste something fundamentally changes how we understand the nature of that thing.
Okay.
In physics, there is a clear distinction between kinetic energy, which is energy in motion, and potential energy.
Right.
Imagine a massive boulder resting at the very top of a steep hill. That boulder holds immense potential energy.
So if it just sits there, it's safe, right?
Yeah.
It isn't hurting anyone. I think most of us view our comfort zones as that boulder at the top of the hill.
Oh, for sure.
Like if I'm sitting on the couch watching television, I'm not doing anything bad. I'm just paused. I'm in neutral territory.
And that right there, the word waste, destroys the illusion of the pause button.
What do you mean?
A boulder at the top of a hill doesn't just sit perfectly intact forever. Wind, rain, time they erode it, it slowly turns to dust and blows away, having never made an impact. The text implies that human potential is subject to those exact same laws of entropy.
Wow.
It implies that potential is not an infinite well. It's a finite, perishable resource. It has a shelf life.
So inaction isn't neutral.
No.
That implies rest is a waste, which honestly sounds like a fast track to severe burnout, like toxic hustle culture.
Well, we have to differentiate between deliberate recovery and chronic avoidance.
Okay, yeah. Walk me through the difference.
Deliberate recovery is sharpening the axe so you can cut down the tree. Chronic avoidance is leaving the axe out in the rain to rust because you are terrified of the forest.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
When the text says, don't waste it, it is addressing the rust. It suggests that inaction is an active squandering of a gift.
That is a really dark realization. It means the true tragedy isn't, failing to achieve some grand external goal,
Right.
like starting a massive company or writing a bestseller.
Right.
The real tragedy is the internal decay of the capacity itself.
Yep.
If you don't use the muscle, it atrophies.
Precisely. And this taps into a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as existential guilt.
Existential guilt. How is that different from regular guilt?
Normal guilt occurs when you do something wrong. You lie to a friend, you steal something, you mess up at work.
Sure, you broke a rule.
Exactly. Existential guilt is much heavier. It is the deep internal remorse that arises not from what you did, but from what you failed to become. It is the guilt of the unlived life. The phrase, don't waste it, is a direct, targeted trigger for existential guilt.
Man, it's a beautifully constructed trap. You have potential, makes you stand up straight, feel good about yourself, and then don't waste it. Places this heavy yoke across your neck.
It absolutely does.
But, I am going to push back hard here.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine someone listening to this and getting incredibly frustrated.
I get that.
The author drops this philosophical anvil on our heads, warns us that we are committing a literal tragedy if we squander our gifts, and then offers absolutely zero roadmap.
None.
There's no step one, step two. There is just a massive, echoing silence after that final period. Honestly, it feels almost arrogant, or at the very least lazy. Like, hey, don't waste your life. Bye.
On the surface, it absolutely feels like a cop-out. I mean, where are the actionable takeaways, right?
Exactly.
But if we analyze the psychology of instruction, that omission, the architecture of that silence, is actually the most masterful tool the author employs. We have to look at the difference between a methodology and a catalyst.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference?
A methodology gives you a system. If the text read, you have potential, don't waste it. Step 1, wake up at 5:00 a.m. Step 2, meditate for 20 minutes. Step 3, start a business. It gives you a roadmap.
which people love. They buy millions of books for those roadmaps.
They do. But humans suffer from a cognitive bias where we actively look for loopholes in advice to protect our egos.
Oh, absolutely. If I read those steps, I would immediately say, well, I work night shifts, so step one is out. I hate sitting still, so meditation is a no-go. And just like that, I've discarded the entire philosophy.
Exactly. You use the specifics of the roadmap to invalidate the premise.
Yeah.
By arguing with the how, you excuse yourself from the why. A methodology provides a target for your resistance.
So what does a catalyst do?
A catalyst, on the other hand, provides no target. By providing only the mandate and the warning, the text strips you of all your excuses. The vast, empty space after "don't waste it" operates as a psychological mirror. If the text gave a 10-step plan, you could argue with the steps. Without them, the entire burden of discovery is placed squarely onto the listener.
I hear you on the mirror concept, but practically speaking, isn't that still wildly unhelpful?
How so?
Well, if I genuinely don't know how to build a habit or change my life, staring into the silent mirror of my own flaws isn't going to teach me anything new. It's just going to make me profoundly anxious.
Anxiety, in this specific context, is a compass.
A compass.
Yes. The human brain abhors a vacuum. When confronted with an ambiguous threat or a vague warning like "don't waste it," the psychological mechanism of projection kicks in.
Sure.
You are forced to fill that empty space with your own specific insecurities and knowledge. The unspoken truth this text relies on is that deep down, you already know what wasting your potential looks like in your specific life.
Oh, wow. That stings.
It does.
Because it's completely accurate. If I really sit with that silence, I don't need a 10-step book. My conscience already knows which difficult conversations I am actively avoiding.
Yep.
It knows which creative projects I am deliberately half-assing. It knows exactly which daily habits are numbing my ambition.
The author doesn't need to list your flaws because your own internal compass is constantly pointing right at them. The text simply acts as an amplifier for that inner voice. It is profoundly isolating. No one else can tell you how to fulfill your specific mandate. The text hands you the responsibility, points to your own internal knowledge, and walks away, locking the door behind it.
So let's pull all these threads together, because this has been a ride.
It really has.
We took an exceptionally brief 8-word excerpt and found a remarkably dense psychological framework underneath it. We started with the friction between potential and mandate. We explored the Greek concept of teleology, the idea that our capacity is not a lucky bonus, but an inherent design and an obligation.
And then we looked at how the direct assertion of "you have potential" forces cognitive compliance. It bypasses imposter syndrome and establishes an undeniable baseline of worth.
Which set us up perfectly for the physics of waste. The realization that potential is not a safe, neutral state. It is a boulder eroding at the top of a hill. Every moment of chronic avoidance carries an opportunity cost, leading to that heavy existential guilt.
Right. And finally, we examine the architecture of silence, how the lack of a roadmap prevents us from using methodological disagreements as an excuse. It forces us to project our own internal knowledge onto the text, utilizing our anxiety as a compass.
It really is a masterclass in the economy of words, but it leaves us with a heavy reality to carry.
It does. And if there is a single synthesis to draw from this deep dive, it is the concept of permanence.
Permanence.
Yes. You cannot unread this mandate.
Oh, man.
Before you encountered this framing, you might have been able to feign ignorance. You could pretend that staying in your comfort zone was a harmless, neutral choice. But moving forward, it serves as a razor-sharp lens through which you must view your daily decisions.
It becomes an inescapable filter. Every time you choose the path of least resistance, every time you silence your own ambition to fit in, those 8 words are going to echo.
They will.
You now have a binary metric for your life. Is this action utilizing my potential, or is it actively eroding it? The middle ground is just gone.
The Ferrari is in your driveway, the engine is running, and you are the only one holding the keys.
Which leaves us with one final thought to mull over as you step back into your day. We've established that your conscience already knows where your potential lies, and it knows exactly where it's being squandered. So think about the exact moment in your life right now where you feel the most resistance, the most hesitation, or the most paralyzing fear. Is that fear just you being rationally scared of failure? Or is it actually the sound of your own potential banging against the walls of your comfort zone, demanding that you finally do something with it?